Shri Mayapur Navadip Dham ki, Shri Purushottam Kshetra Jagannath Puri Dham ki, Ganga Devi Yamunamai ki, Shrimati Tulsi Maharani Bhakti Devi ki, Shri Harinam Sankirtan Yagya ki, His Divine Grace Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki, ISKCON Guru Vrinda ki, Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda ki. All glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga, Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Hare Krishna, we are very much honored that we have amongst us very illustrious Vaishnava. We have amongst us His Holiness Bhakti Rasayana Sagara Swami Maharaj. So Maharaj needs no introduction. All of our devotees know him very well. We are very much blessed that Maharaj comes and blesses us very regularly. But still many devotees are online and many devotees may not be aware. So for all of them, we are just introducing in a very short way. Maharaj is sannyas disciple of His Holiness Indradyumna Swami Maharaj. And Maharaj is originally from Russia. Maharaj joined ISKCON in 1989 and received sannyas order in 2016 in Sridham, Mayapur. Maharaj is traveling globally, practically entire world, and he has traveled all the countries, and he has rounded the world 14 times, and he teaches all over the world how to apply Bhagavad-gita in practical way. He has variegated leadership experiences in ISKCON, ranging from being a Sankirtan leader, temple president, regional secretary, GBC deputy, and presently Maharaj is a member of the Sabha, SABHA, which is the advisory body to the GBC. So we are very honored that Maharaj is very much kind to us and he is giving time to all of us here in Chopati. So let's welcome Maharaj by loudly chanting 3 times, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol. Grateful to you, Maharaj, for being here. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Hari Bol. Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihare Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihare Jaya Gopidana Vallabha Girivaradhare Jaya Gopidana Vallabha Girivaradhare Yashoda Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yashoda Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Banachare Yamuna Tira Banachare Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihare Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihare Jaya Gopidana Vallabha Girivaradhare Yashoda Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yamunatiravanachare Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihare Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihare Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Prabhupada. Prabhupada, 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 Jai Jai Prabhupada. Shri Harinam Sankirtan Yagya Ki Jai, Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai, Shri Shri Radha Gopinath Ki Jai, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai, ISKCON Guru Vrinda Ki Jai, Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga. Hare Krishna. When in the morning the announcement was made that Gaura Prabhu is going to give class, and then I was hoping maybe he will give, but then he refused. I realized, it's some kind of lila, but it helped me to understand what kind of sacrifice is there to accommodate my class, because I'll be honest with you that if I want to learn something in Krishna consciousness, my first priority is to go to ISKCON Desire Tree and listen to the classes given by Chaupati devotees. And Gaura Prabhu is one of the top on my list. So, and the previous recordings was from, early 2000, and they start from the end of the 4th canto. So luckily now, devotees started giving classes from the 1st canto again. So there is a little gap left between 3rd and 4th canto, then the whole Bhagavatam will be covered. And it's unfortunate that, this particular verse we're going to be discussing today won't be covered by any Chaupati devotees. And because I can't imagine matching your explanations, what to speak of excelling them. So if I will be able to say anything worthwhile, that's going to be only with your kind blessings upon me. And we will start with prayers to spiritual masters, Vaishnavas, the Supreme Lord. So you can pray for me. After all, it's within your interest. And we have Nanda Gopal Prabhu with us, so I'm sure he will fill whatever the gap is there. So we'll be reading from the 3rd canto, continue reading the 2nd chapter, which is Remembrance of Lord Krishna. And today is text 15. Om Agyantimirandasya Ginandana Shalakaya Chakshuran Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Mano Bhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Svayam rupa kadam mayam dadati svapadantikam vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubevacha patitanam pavanepyo vaishnavepyo namo namaha. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Bhutaya Mahat Prema Puravibhur Nirmaya Kshatedamuşu Purusha Bhungte Guna Sada Sada Satmakaya Lankrishishta Bhagavan Vacham Sime Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya sva-śānta-rūpeṣ itarai sva-rūpair sva-śānta-rūpeṣ itarai sva-rūpair abhyardhamanesh anukampita-ātmā abhyardhamanesh anukampita-ātmā para-avara mahat-aṁśa-yuktaḥ para-avara mahat-aṁśa-yuktaḥ yajopi jato bhagavan yathagni yajopi jato bhagavan yathagni sva-śānta-rūpeṣ itarai sva-rūpair abhyardhamanesh anukampita-ātmā para-avara mahat-aṁśa-yuktaḥ yajopi jato bhagavan yathagni. Synonyms, please repeat. Sva-śānta-rūpeṣu, unto the peaceful devotees of the Lord. Itarai, others, non-devotees. Sva-rūpaiḥ, according to their own modes of nature. Abhyardhamaneshu, being harassed by. Anukampita-ātmā, the all-compassionate Lord. Para-avara, spiritual and material. Ishaha, controller. Mahat-aṁśa-yuktaḥ, accompanied by the plenary portion of mahat-tattva. He, certainly, ajaha, the unborn, api, although, jataha, is born, Bhagavan, the personality of Godhead, yadha, as if, agnihi, the fire. So before we read translation purport by Srila Prabhupada, let's focus on the importance of this chapter, because this is one of the deepest chapters in Srimad Bhagavatam, spoken by very special, very confidential devotee of Krishna, Sri Uddhava Mahārāja, who was not only his cousin brother, but his prime minister and advisor and such a confidential devotee that he even looked like Krishna. Even gopis mistook him for Krishna when he came to Vrindavan. And, he's been wearing only Mahaprasadam clothing from Krishna and his jewelry, because Krishna would give him everything. Krishna would never be separated from Uddhava. He would only take Boga, right? Krishna can take Boga. He would only dine if Uddhava was there. And he would never take any decision without Uddhava's advice. And it's interesting that Krishna sent him with a message to Braj to help Uddhava realize the topmost level of devotion to himself from Brajabasis. And yet, Krishna didn't take Uddhava with him when he departed from this world. He made Uddhava stay back and not to torture him, but to actually let him stay back and preach Krishna consciousness, because he's been the best devotee who realized all the depths of Krishna consciousness. And also, since Uddhava appreciated Brajabasis so much, Krishna let him experience the same what Brajabasis experienced, love in separation, which is the topmost level of Krishna consciousness ever available. And all these texts in this chapter are very special, because he speaks about Krishna in deep love in separation. So this is our topmost goal we're striving to achieve through our spiritual practices. And the entire Srimad Bhagavatam is like a big box full of jewels. And some of the jewels are really large and very impressive. So the verses in this chapter are like that. Of course, with the crest jewel of the chapter, text 23, which made Pundarik Vidyanidhi Prabhu be absorbed in total ecstasy of, separation from Krishna when he heard that verse. Famous Aho Bakiyam Stana Kalakutam Jigamsa Payapya Sattvi, glorifying Krishna as the one who's been so merciful that he even showed his mercy to Putana, the witch who came to poison him. He fulfilled even all of her desires. So, and this verse is also mentioning that anukampita-ātmā. So this is one of the names of Krishna, which means he is all compassionate. Can you imagine being compassionate to the murderer? So Krishna is supremely compassionate. And this verse is amazing because it mentions so many names, or you can say titles, of the Supreme Lord. So many words in this particular verse referring to Krishna, right? Let me see if anyone picked any of these. I mean, you don't have text anymore, but if you have texts in front of you on your devices, besides anukampita-ātmā, which means the all-merciful Lord, any other words related directly to Krishna in this verse? Huh? Isha, yeah. Not just Isha, but para-avara. What is the meaning of para-avara? The master of both spiritual and material worlds. So there is nothing which is not covered by Krishna's supremacy. Para-avara, very beautiful name of Krishna, or title, you can say. Any other words? Bhagavan, of course, yeah. Bhagavan, of course, is another name. Supreme Controller. Any other? Aja, yes. Unborn. And of course, these, names, they open the entire world of, Krishna's qualities and pastimes. The very popular question which Bhagavatam describes, why the unborn takes birth, right? Because Krishna is unborn, but still he takes birth, right? And you can suggest some reasons why the unborn took birth, and if you say that he took birth just to make us fast on Janmashtami day, that's the wrong answer. That's not given in Bhagavatam. There are some other proper answers. Given by whom? Huh? Paritranaya sadhunam chadushkritam, because Bhagavad-gita gives. But Bhagavatam gives any reasons why the unborn takes birth? We can discuss about him. The hint is 8th chapter of the first canto, Prayers of Kunti. Remember? Series of verses. Kunti Devi says why the unborn takes birth. So, I mean, just an indication, that this type of verses, they are not for discussion during Bhagavatam class. 1 hour will do nothing to this verse. This kind of verses are the subjects of the entire seminar, right? So, just to give you an idea what we are dealing with, and so, if you could kindly focus deeply on the translation purport of this verse. And then, I actually struggle with this kind of verses, what to discuss, because there is so much, what to choose, what to leave aside. Anyway, we'll see how it goes. So, translation: the personality of Godhead, the all-compassionate controller of both the spiritual and material creations, is unborn, but when there is friction between his peaceful devotees and persons who are in the material modes of nature, he takes birth, just like fire, accompanied by the mahat-tattva. Srila Prabhupada's purport: the devotees of the Lord are by nature peaceful because they have no material hankerings. A liberated soul has no hankering, and therefore he has no lamentation. Those of you who know Prabhupada books well would recognize that Srila Prabhupada is not saying something from his own mind, but he actually refers to a verse. The hint is from Chaitanya Charitamrita, very famous verse. Anyone can remind us which verse is that? Which says that only devotees of the Lord are always peaceful, and everybody else, bhukti muktis, everybody else is always not peaceful. Yeah? Everyone remembers that verse? Krishna Bhakta, Nishkama Ata Eva Shanta, Bhukti Mukti Siddhikami Ata Sakalaya Shanta. So, devotees are always peaceful. So, this is what Srila Prabhupada begins to describe. One who wants to possess also laments when he loses his possession. So, the whole material life is always lamentation, right? Because you miss something in life, you lament, that you miss it, and you make so much effort to gain it, right? Then you make so much more effort to preserve it, meanwhile lamenting that so many people want to take it away or not appreciating what you have, whatever the case, right? And then after so much struggle, you still lose it, and then you lament you lost it. So from A to Z, material world means nothing but lamentation, right? You either you have nothing, or you try to get it, or after you lose it. So, very sad situation. Devotees have no hankerings for material possessions and no hankerings for spiritual salvation. That's also interesting, right? That so many people, they practice spiritual life. Why? Because they want some peace, right? I mean, peace is mostly available after you rest in peace, right? Because material world means there is no peace as such, right? But devotees are not striving for peace, they want something more. They want bliss, yeah. And if you have bliss, you get peace automatically, right? But if you want only peace, you may not get it, right? So that's why, yeah, Bhakti Yoga is topmost spiritual practice. And for devotees, just, idea of getting permanent peace without service is hellish. Kaivalyam narakayate, as we know. So, Prabhupada continues, they are situated in the transcendental loving service of the Lord as a matter of duty, and they do not mind where they are or how they have to act. Karmis, Jnanis, and Yogis all hanker to possess some material or spiritual assets. Karmis want material possessions, Jnanis and Yogis want spiritual possessions. But devotees do not want any material or spiritual assets. As one American stand-up comedian says, why do you want everything? Where will you store it all? Right? So devotees are not interested in anything. As long as they can serve Krishna, they are happy. Because serving Krishna automatically means you will have Krishna. And Krishna is what? Krishna is everything. So if you have everything already, why do you need anything more? So that's why devotees are fully satisfied. Yeah, they want only to serve the Lord anywhere in the material or spiritual worlds, and the Lord as the Lord desires. And the Lord is always specifically compassionate towards such devotees. The karmis, jnanis, and yogis have their particular mentalities in the modes of nature, and therefore they are called itara, or non-devotees. That's so interesting. Prabhupada says itara means non-devotees, even though the very beginning of Bhagavatam in relation to itaras says these are demigods, devatas. Janmadi asyaya, what's that? Janmadi asyayata nvayat, itaratas charteshu abhigyasvarat. So itara, in the very Mangala Charana, refers to demigods. Prabhupada says non-devotees. Even though devatas are officially designated as devotees, but that helps us to understand that when Prabhupada speaks devotees, he refers to which category? Pure devotees. And so if someone is mixed, then these people, they may not, be even counted in that category of devotees. So very interesting. And Prabhupada writes not on his own, he repeats basically what the other acharyas are saying. So the whole parampara believes in that. If that's not pure devotion, that's not real devotion in the first place. So these itaras, including even the yogis, sometimes harass the devotees of the Lord. Durvāsā Muni, a great yogi, harassed Mahārāja Ambarīṣa, because the latter was a great devotee of the Lord. Interesting. And Durvāsā Muni is who? That he is the incarnation of Mahadev, right? Shankar, Mahadev. And the great Karmi and Gyani Hiranyakashipu even harassed his own Vaishnava son, Prahlad Maharaj. There are many instances of such harassment of the peaceful devotees of the Lord by the itaras. What to speak of, complete materialistic or demoniac people, that's always happening, right? That latest being Bangladeshi case, right? Attack on ISKCON temples. Yesterday, I've heard that you had this discussion, etc. But I have some insiders' revelation on this issue, which I won't be speaking publicly, but for brahmacharis, we can discuss that. That there is more to the story than meet the eye in relation to Bangladesh. So there are some, details, important details. As we say in Russian, nuances. Nuances are important. So, but yeah, non-devotees, they always harass the devotees. That's always been the case historically. I mean, joining the movement in Russia, I had first-hand experience that the first batch of books which was sent to us after we were kind of recognized before that the devotees, as you know, were in jail and all this. But after they've been released and, devotees in Europe, they became happy, okay, now there is opportunity to practice Krishna consciousness properly. So they printed 250,000 of Prabhupada's books, 2.5 lakhs, and they sent it over to Russia as a gift. But the officials, they didn't want to give these books to us because they thought we had so much headache with Hare Krishnas. When they could not print their own, when they didn't had properly printed books, they were preaching so actively, so if we give them books, we don't know what will happen. So they decided, okay, let's keep these books at the customs and not give them out. So we had to come together and do harinams of protest to try to get the books out. And I remember, I thought, because I had experience of, prosecution for political reasons by the officials, dealing with KGB and all this. And I thought, officials will not let us do that like that. So, but first couple of days were fine. We were doing these harinams all day long, pretty hard, 10 hours of harinam without any break, even for lunch. And very few devotees could play mridanga, and those who were, they played so much, their hands were bleeding, so they would put cellar tapes around their hand, continue playing because there was no one else. So there were interesting experiences. But on the third day, actually, end of the second day, I saw a police car following us, and they were talking between themselves, pointing at us, so I figured out we're in trouble. We're going to be in trouble very soon. So next day, we're doing the Harinam, and we had our placards explaining to people what we're trying to achieve, why we're attracting everyone's attention. we want our books, we want, religious freedom to be respected. And then suddenly 2 police cars came and they tried to stop the Harinam and arrest us. And it was very interesting because the crowd was watching everything, right? And they tried so much to arrest few devotees. And the devotees were very seasoned. They went through jail and all kinds of prosecutions for Krishna consciousness. They would not let anyone to be arrested. They were not resisting the police. They were not, fighting with the police because that would, give criminal case. But they would figure out how to resist without fighting the police. Like police would catch one devotee, try to pull him in the car, and 5 or 6 other devotees, they would pull him in different directions, so police couldn't do anything. And they were struggling and struggling. And finally, they managed to arrest one devotee, grab him, who was the most active. And they were very angry. And then my first temple president, I still remember, he was an exceptional person. And he came and he said, and he was black belt karate master, right? Very powerful man. And his face was pretty interesting. His gaze was so penetrating, no one could look in his eyes like that. If he was angry, and at that time he was really angry, he would look at this policeman and he would say, "You have to release this man." And the policeman said, "We're not going to release him, he is arrested." And he had wampers, judges, and he would take them and he would say, "I warned you, last time you have to release him or else you will face the problem." And the policemen were shaking and they were saying, that we cannot do that. And then he would take the wampers and smash them in front of policeman's face without touching the policeman. But they were so afraid they would jump back and let the devotee go. Like that. But they still were persisting, trying to arrest at least someone. But then the whole episode was watched by, the onlookers. And just a few minutes prior to that, they heard our explanations that we're peaceful people, but, still officials, they give us so much of hard time. They arrested our books and all. They heard that, and now they see it firsthand. And they're also getting angry at police. Why are you doing, you're declaring freedom, etc., but you are harassing peaceful people? And one policeman arrested one devotee finally and was pulling him into the car. And there was one young lady, maybe 18 or something, and she took a run, and policeman was pulling this devotee, walking with his back to that lady. And she took a run, and she screamed at the top of her voice, as ladies can do. And she put both of her hands forward, and she actually pushed the policeman like that. And policeman, even though she is like little lady, but because she was running so fast, and he didn't expect, and then she pushed him, and he actually went flying, this policeman. And the police was shocked. They were thinking, who dared to attack us like that? And then they saw that this was a lady from the crowd. And then they looked at the crowd and they realized, everybody's blood is boiling in the crowd. And if we do anything to that lady, the whole crowd will jump on us. So better not to take any chances. So they just wrapped up and went away. But I knew that it's not going to end so easily. Next day we went out again. And, before they came with 2 cars. And then I saw 2 buses coming and few, special cars. And this was riot police force, with shields and batons. And it was really strange, like we would sing blissfully Harinam, and next second, this policeman started beating the devotees down to the ground with their batons and grab them and throw them onto the bus. And I was standing there, they beat devotees without any warning like that. And I was thinking what to do. You cannot fight with police, but you have to protect the devotees. And while I was thinking, they started beating me as well. So I fell on the ground, they grabbed me, they threw me on the bus, like that. Everything was happening so quickly. And I was sitting on the bus and watching that the battle continued outside like that. And I was thinking, this is really strange, because they were beating me pretty hard with their batons, but I never felt any pain, no bruises, nothing broken. I'm fine. Very surprising. And then I started asking other devotees on the bus, were you beaten? Yes. You felt any pain? No. Any bruises, anything broken, any fractures? No, nothing. So surprising, Krishna was protecting. Somehow, as if it was not happening with us, as if it was happening in the movie or something. So things like that. There are many, many stories of harassment, but Krishna was always protecting the devotees, actually. If any of you read Salted Bread, these devotees shared that these were the best times when they actually could fully surrender unto Krishna. That's why, again, Kunti Devi says, Vipada santuta shashvat tatra tatra jagadguru, bhavato darshanam yasyata punarbhava darshanam. That let all those troubles come again and again. Tatra tatra jagadguru. More and more trouble. Very strange prayer, right? But then she qualifies, she explains why Vipadasa. Bhavato darshanam yasyat, because when troubles come, you also come. And we can see you. We see the trouble, we see you. And if we see you, apunar bhava darshanam, we don't see repeated birth and death anymore. So, quite amazing. Anyway, there is much to say on the topic, but we'll finish the purport. When such friction takes place, the Lord, out of His great compassion towards His pure devotees, appear in person, accompanied by His plenary portions controlling the mahat-tattva. So I've checked with Gaura Lila Prabhu, what does it mean? He says, the Lord is accompanied by His energies. So this is what it means, accompanied by mahat-tattva. The Lord is everywhere in both the material and spiritual domains, and He appears for the sake of His devotees when there is friction between His devotee and the non-devotee. As electricity generated by friction of matter anywhere and everywhere, the Lord, being all-pervading, appears because of the friction of devotees and non-devotees. When Lord Krishna appears on a mission, all His plenary portions accompany Him. When He appears as the son of Vasudeva, there were differences of opinions about His incarnation. Some said He is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Some said He is an incarnation of Narayan. And others said He is the incarnation of Kshirdakashaya Vishnu. But actually He is the original Supreme Personality of Godhead. Krishna stu Bhagavan Svayam, and Narayan, the Purushas, and all other incarnations accompany Him to function as different parts of His pastimes. Mahat-aṁśa-yuktaḥ indicates that He is accompanied by the Purushas who create the mahat-tattva. It is confirmed in the Vedic hymns, Mahantam vibhum atmanam. Lord Krishna appeared just like electricity when there was friction between Kamsa and Vasudeva and Ugrasena. Vasudeva and Ugrasena were the Lord's devotees, and Kamsa, a representative of the karmis and jnanis, was a non-devotee. Krishna, as he is compared to the sun. He first appeared from the ocean of the womb of Devaki, and gradually he satisfied the inhabitants of the places surrounding Mathura, just as the sun enlivens the lotus flower in the morning. After gradually rising to the meridian of Dwaraka, the Lord set like the sun, placing everything in darkness, as described by Uddhava. So, Krishna Surya Sama Mayahaya Andakar. So we can understand that Krishna is dissipating all the troubles, right? All the illusions for devotees. And when Krishna is not there, everything, goes back into darkness. As Bhagavatam says, Krishna svadhamma pagate dharma jnana dibisaha kalau nashadrisamasha puranarko dunodidaha. Yeah, that. When Krishna left, swadhamma upagate, then dharma jnana dibisaha, all the benefits, everything nice disappeared together with him. And then kalau nashtadrishamasha, that full influence of Kali Yuga manifested, that this darkness of Kali Yuga became all-pervading. And what is the only source of light? Purana Arko Donoditaha, special Puran, which is Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai. So Bhagavatam is Krishna for us. And discussing Bhagavatam, we can have direct association with Krishna. So that's why it's special mercy of Srila Prabhupada that he brought Bhagavatam to the whole world. And even people back in India started appreciating it more. Before that, familiarity brought, contempt, right? But after Srila Prabhupada gave it to the whole planet, then Bharat also appreciated it. Well, if Westerners like it, so there must be something good in it. All right, so let's see that there are tons of points which we couldn't discuss, but if you want to raise any point from what we've discussed, please.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Maharaj, for such a wonderful class, very heart-touching. One question which comes in our mind, as you raised the discussion about how devotees in Russia, when they faced such difficulty, and all of you could experience Krishna, because after that difficulty or quarrel with the police, all of you discussed with each other and found that it's like Krishna is protecting. So we see two dimensions, Maharaj. One dimension where people outside ask, where is the Lord? Why doesn't he protect? So outsider people, they see in this whether God is there or not. Why not he is protecting? And we see that such questions coming up everywhere whenever difficulties are there with devotees. And we see another dimension where all of you are feeling Krishna's presence there. So Maharaj, I would like to ask you, because you were like present in that situation, how all of us devotees inside could see this kind of situation when difficulties are there with devotees. How do we see scenarios like that? Whether we should see that this kind of scenario is an opportunity to come closer to Krishna, to experience Krishna, or we also see that something can be done from our side so that such situation may not come or should not come in future.
Yeah. Krishna sometimes protects the devotee, and sometimes it doesn't look like he is protecting the devotee. He allows the devotee to suffer. And it's not just us. We can see, even great devotees, Draupadi. You cannot imagine greater level of devotion than Draupadi. Imagine the mother whose every single son was murdered like that in one go. And then, Krishna was there, right there. He could protect. He could prevent this from happening. He could prevent Abhimanyu being killed. He could prevent Draupadi's sons being murdered. He could do it all. He didn't. And so it's really important to understand whatever is happening, whatever Krishna is allowing to happen, there is a deeper meaning, there is a deeper purpose behind. Like one devotee corresponded 19 symbols on Krishna's lotus feet with 19 chapters of the first canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, explaining how they are interlinked. And so this chapter 7 is corresponding with the conch sign on Krishna's left foot. And so conch sign is, of course, sign of victory, right? Like we blow a conch before the arati, so the Lord is always victorious, so we glorify the Lord like that. And, before Kurukshetra, the conches were blown as sign of victory for Krishna and Pandavas, Yatra Yogeshwara Krishna. She lost all their sons, and Pandavas lost, all their princes, who's supposed to be ruling in future, right? So that was big tragedy. Where is the victory in there? But it's the victory of compassion, that Draupadi's compassion was so great that she actually forgave. Can you imagine? Mother whose every child is murdered, forgiving the assassin. It's amazing. So this is the victory, that devotees, they remain unaffected by whatever is happening in this world. And this is the victory in this chapter. So, yeah, sometimes Krishna gives, sometimes Krishna takes away, and he has his purposes. And instead of thinking of what I gained or lost, devotee is thinking, what's Krishna's purpose behind? So he's thinking of Krishna. And thinking of Krishna makes him happy no matter what. Loss or gain, it doesn't really matter. As my friend Patri put it together, gain or loss depend on the Supreme Boss. So that's the best course of action. Yes, if that's answering, thank you. Prabhu. Okay.
Just wanted to know, Maharaj, were books released finally? Were books released finally?
Yeah, the books were released finally. Yes. We can, Krishna made it a little difficult, but then he gave us everything.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, thank you so much for giving us a practical example of what the Bhagavatam is talking of. The devotees are fearless. But then the question arises many times that we tend to play safe, that okay, there is a risk that we may get arrested. Like on the second day you realized something is going wrong. Still you went on third day, and the third day actually they came to arrest, and it was now very obvious their motivations. But then still going on the fourth day, so all of you could have just played safe, been in the temple and thought that maybe it's not Krishna's desire, something will happen, but then you didn't do that, you went out on the field. So how do we get that kind of a initiative spirit and not be playing safe all the time?
Yeah, well, of course, we need to be cautious, but, we were not doing anything on our own. We were following the order of the seniors who told you get to do something, you have to do something to get the books released, right? And so we were just following the instruction from the superiors. So if you follow the instruction, it's like battle on Kurukshetra, right? That Arjuna didn't want to fight for himself, but when he realized it's the desire of the superior, Krishna, right? So then he went and he was fighting. So the most important thing in all our action, if we are doing something whimsical or we are acting under the guidance of the authority. So if you act under the guidance of the authority, you are fully protected and you are bound to be successful. And acting whimsically is always failure, guaranteed kind of thing, yeah. So the last point I was actually thinking, which is really important to bring up, is the overarching theme of the chapter, which is developing our love for Krishna in separation. And this chapter, of course, in this chapter, Uddhava is also glorifying gopis of Vrindavan, and of course the topmost gopi is Srimati Radharani. And I came across one amazing verse found in Padyavali, Srila Rupa Goswami's Padyavali, where in Srimati Radharani expresses her feeling of separation from Krishna in very interesting way. I'll read the Sanskrit for those of you who know, who can, understand the meaning, because it's very interesting verse. I tried to translate it in poetic form, but it's more of an interpretation. I've added something to it, which is not in the original verse, but it's in line with Acharya's statements. So just kind of elaboration on it. So this is the Sanskrit. Yapashyanti priyam swapne danyasta sakhi yoshitaha asmakantu gate krishne gata nidrapi vairini. My friend, the girl who sees her lover in a dream is truly blessed, as she can thus enjoy with him. Alas, my sleep, the traitor, is now gone, since Krishna left us crying all alone. So the last line I've added because, the verse is not speaking about crying. But these acharyas are explaining that this is the reason Radharani cannot sleep, because she cries all the time for Krishna. And, we are not crying for Krishna. The only time we might cry in separation from Krishna may be when we are separated from our prasadam. That's the only form of Krishna we might have special attachment to. And we don't want to separate from that form of Krishna. But it's interesting that, she says, at least, those who can have a sleep, they can dream of their lover. But I cannot even see Krishna in my sleep, because Krishna is gone and my sleep is gone together with him. So, and, if you cry all the time, how can you sleep? And we might wonder, okay, we're separated from Krishna, but, what's the big deal, right? But Krishna means everything good. And so, in relation to the word Bhagavan, and, in relation to this verse, I was thinking, Krishna is gone and my dream is gone, right? I cannot see the dream because I cannot sleep. And the idea is that separation from Krishna means separation from everything we can dream of. So that's why it's really important. And we're separated from Krishna when we forget Krishna. And so that's why it's really important to always think of Krishna and never forget him. So I wanted to thank everyone for the opportunity to focus on Krishna by focusing on the topic of this verse. So thank you for helping me to become a little more Krishna conscious, even though I'm not qualified to speak on these topics, but it's beneficial for me, that's why I agree to do that. Hare Krishna. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Nitai Gaura Premanande.